do something for me. Put those right there.
Right here.
Uh-huh.
And we'll see.
And turn them around so I can see the spines.
Okay, so I think we are here. Hello, this is Dr. Rubye Braye, and I think we are live, and we are live on YouTube. Okay, so welcome everybody who is watching us and who will be watching us on YouTube. It's my first live YouTube appearance and I'm really excited. So you are actually watching the series that is called Dream Big with Zhanna, inspiring you to reignite, refire, and refuel your life. And I am excited to let you know that my guest for today is an amazing Dr. Rubye Braye, who I'm going to give you a little bit of her official bio to start with so you understand a little bit about her background. Dr. Rubye Braye, with PhD, is president and CEO of the Woolly Turtle Corporation. Having been a university professor for 16 years, specializing in leadership and organizational performance, Dr. Braye created the Business Breakthrough Program and works with a select group of leaders from across the United States, each year supporting them in doubling, tripling, and 10xing, if there is a word, their businesses. And from my personal flavor to this amazing individual and amazing soul is that I am blessed to have you in my life, and also not only that you're an amazing professional in what you do, you're also just the true light to be around, because I've never seen such a grounded and spiritual person in my life who is manifesting anything she wants just the way she wants, when she wants it. So welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Dr. Rubye.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here with you today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we want to talk about how to make the most out of your degree in the fast changing world. And I know that you work with the students, at least that's what you did in the past, and I think you continue a little bit with that, with the postgraduate student and you're helping them to finish their PhD. How did you get into this line of work, and what inspires you to do this?
While I was on active duty, I was head of the software department at the Army's Computer Science School. And we had lots of students who had phenomenal skills, who went to work in some of the largest organizations in the Army. And I was often coaching them about how to take what they learned in the school and use it on their jobs to be able to advance in their careers. So I was coaching both enlisted people, I was coaching officers, and I was coaching civilians. And many of them went on to do just amazing things. In fact, we had 2 or 3 to go to work in the White House. Many of them worked in the Pentagon. Many of them worked in headquarters around the world. And so when I left the military, I still coached people. And once I hired a coach, and she was the #1 coach in North Carolina. And she said, you know what? You are so good at this. Why don't you take your skills and get first formally trained and then credentialed? So that's how I ended up going to Georgetown to get the training, and then to ICF to get certified. And I'm in the second of the 3 levels for ICF certification. And I use it every day working with colleagues to be able to help them take the visions and dreams that they have and make them real. And it has been just amazing work. I've seen people do things that I am so honored to have been able to support them. I have a young woman I'm working with right now who has decided that she wants to be an Olympian. And so once the goal is clear, we lay out a strategy, we address the things in the environment that need to be changed, we make sure that she has the skills that she needs, and it's action, action, action. So we use that as a process, but the key thing is just making sure that the goals are really clear. Because once you've got clear goals, you can focus. And with focus, you can't help but move forward if you'll take a little action every day.
Dr. Braye,
Yes.
question. A lot of
Yes.
people are talking about goal setting these days.
Yes.
Especially in the coaching field and the coaching department, and goal setting. But everybody approaches it differently. How do you look at the goals, and what are the specifics? Maybe if you can throw some light on the diamonds, and we'll pick them up along the way. On how really, like, what is it for what does it mean to set the goal? Is it just one big goal, or does it have super clear and specific? Is it on paper? Do you keep it in your head? Like, how do you define goal setting for yourself?
Well, goal setting for me starts with a clear vision of what it is you hope to achieve or accomplish. And once you're clear, then there are steps that you must take to move you in the direction. And I call those milestones and goals because you have to achieve them sometimes sequentially and sometimes consecutively in order to achieve the vision that's in your heart. And so when I work with a client, many of them will be very clear about exactly what they have as a destination or the vision for their life. I asked them, when you were little, what did you always want to do? What did you always want to be? What did you dream of? Almost before you could talk, you came with these gifts in your hand saying, I'm going to be a concert pianist, or I'm going to be a physician, or I'm going to be a teacher, or I'm going to be a miner, or I'm going to be a truck driver. When we show up, we have this sense. It's like a tree. A little bush knows that it should be this big. A redwood knows it should be this big. And so within each little seed are those ideas, the vision, and then the goals represent each little step that you take to walk you to that vision. And as I work with a client, it's from day to day, knowing that intuition very often will help us. Sometimes you will be clear and focused on the goal, and your inner wisdom will say, pick up the phone and call this person, or go to this event. Our job is to say yes, cooperate, and take action. And when you do, you cannot help but move towards what has been placed in your heart.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad that you touched on intuition. What is intuition to you? How do you define it?
Intuition is that inner wisdom, that inner knowing, that inner guidance. Many of us have had little inner voice say, pick up the phone and call somebody. And before the phone even rang, the person was on the phone saying, you have been on my mind for 2 days. I was just about to call you. Or you will leave your house and a little voice will say, turn around and go back and you'll find the garage door was left open, or the iron was left on, or a pot was on the stove boiling. That probably would have burned your house down if you had not said, let me say yes and pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
And things for people who have parents, it has probably happened many times with your children. For people in the marketplace and the workplace, you'll hear a little voice inside say, call this person, or go here and register for this conference to sell your product, or have a conversation with this neighbor. And when you do, you will find that you receive information that immediately moves you almost in a quantum way to the next level towards your vision.
By the way, that's a great question. Well, the question that I've been pondering on is: does it always have to be like in your coaching career? Because you're the coach and the trainer. In your what the way you're working with your students, is it always like step 1, step 2, step 3, or can it be a beeline from step 1 to the top of the ladder? Does it ever happen?
I will tell you, my experience has been that very little in life happens sequentially except for school. But even schools have exceptions. I got skipped from kindergarten to the 2nd grade. I have a sister who graduated from high school at 15. So while we are told that this is a process, there are times when you will find that there are exceptions to the process. So have a spirit that's open and teachable and willing to deviate from what is considered the normal route. The universe knows much better than we know what should happen with our lives and how it should occur. So sometimes you'll be thinking ABC, when in reality, the universe will take you from A to C to G. And when that happens, you'll skip over those things that you thought you had to know in order to understand the things that are absolutely essential. This happens with healing very often, whether you're healing the spirit, healing a broken heart, whether you're healing or grieving through a loss. You'll hear people say, this person's spouse died 3 months ago and they're already in a relationship. How could they be ready for a relationship? The universe so often knows exactly what we need. And the person who shows up in 3 months may be the perfect little complement to transform your life and the partner's life. Say yes and move forward.
Oh my goodness, so much wisdom from you. Now, another question. Well, first of all, I'm curious, who is it that you are coaching? Like, who are your students right now, and who are you training? Is it individuals? Is it groups? What kind of groups? If it's the group, so can you tell us more?
Well, this has been the most amazing thing. Most of the people who are clients for me have found me. They're people in the military. They're people who are business leaders. They're athletes. I mentioned the young woman who's the athlete who's going to the Olympics, and I'm absolutely certain I can hardly wait to see her standing on a dais receiving a medal. I work with those who are wanting to complete their dissertations for their PhDs. And in many cases, they've had false starts. But what I've learned is if they will keep the faith, trust me enough, like a jockey, to have traveled this course with many others many times, and to know that I can help guide them related to their family situations, their work situations, brokenhearted and disappointment, and sometimes health issues, where they are coached through the process in such a way that all of the other factors in their lives make it possible for them to first bless themselves, bless those in their families, bless those in the workplace, bless those in organizations, help customers in ways that they have just not known. So it is just a group. I used to believe that, and when I got certified as an executive coach. But I have had people even women come who are single wanting help with relationships. And I thought, but that's not what I'm doing. What I've come to understand is once you learn the process of coaching, while it is possible to excel when you coach the game that you know really well, it is also possible to coach games that you don't know because people trust you to know what the coach in the game may not know. There are men who will trust me and have succeeded because I knew source, the place inside where the drive comes from, where the desire, the idea comes from, where the faith to believe that they can do it comes from. And because I know that place, having been there so many times, it's possible to ask questions and offer ideas that inspire, that motivate, that allow for trust in a way that the person can trust me, trust themselves enough to move forward.
Has it ever happened to you in your life? Because did you have coaches? Your coaches?
I've had coaches. I've had coaches. In fact, I have 2 coaches right now. And I tell the coaches, I am a really fine coach. I've coached lots of people in every institutional type, in education, in entertainment, those in finance, who are working in labor. I've coached people who were attorneys. I've coached people who were ministers, people who were in government and politics, in healthcare. And I've coached people who were parents struggling with children, trying to sort out how best to have the family move forward. And having done that, it has given me a breadth of experience experience. But I tell you, experience is always dangerous because we think because we have experience that we don't have to listen to the universe and the divine in the moment. The most
Mhm.
reliable support I have had has come from discounting all of this formal training and increasing dependence on that inner wisdom to know what to say and what to do in the moment. And when I have, it's like a tree does not bend until wind blows on it. It has a
Mhm.
capacity to blend, but it doesn't. And in
Mhm.
a similar way, we develop a response in the moment to those things that come in our lives that might delay us from achieving the goals and the vision ultimately. Now we are
Mhm.
prepared, and that's called resilience. I have a friend who calls it prosilience. But just because you have resilience doesn't mean that you use it all the time. Timing is essential to know what tool to use when you need to use it to achieve the goal that moves you towards the vision that's in your heart. And
Mhm.
the other thing I'll mention is age is not always a factor. I've worked with very senior people. In fact, had a client recently who was in her 70s, and she was concerned that she was too old to achieve this goal. And I will tell you, the universe didn't know the difference, and God didn't know the difference between whether you're 15, 50, 70. If it is a desire that has been placed in your heart, I promise you, it is achievable as you move forward, taking those steps that you are led and guided to.
That's amazing. And that's perfect for this program because the program is all
Mhm.
about inspiring you to reignite, refire, and refuel your life. And it's big dream, right? Dream big. So that's
Yes,
perfect. And you just answered my question because
absolutely.
the question I was going to ask you, there's a lot of people out there who are getting the coaching and there comes a moment when the coach says one thing, but your gut feeling, which you call the divine or the intuition, is telling you a completely different thing. So what do you do in that moment? So it's sort of like you are at the fork of the road, but I believe you already mentioned it. You have to listen for the divine in the moment, in that given moment. Am I right?
Yes. Exactly what I tell my coaches, and I pay them, have paid a lot of money for coaching, but I make it very clear my inner wisdom has saved my life, has protected me, and has taken me around the world when I've been obedient. So, why did I hire a coach? I hired a coach because the coach is the person who keeps me reminded in an accountable way to stay on exactly what it is I've said represents this vision. And when I'm down and when I'm sad and when I would like to believe that maybe I don't have as much faith, important to have those places because our clients have them. And it's hard for somebody to trust somebody who says, oh no, I'm excited and up and optimistic and filled with energy all the time. No, if I told you that, you should know that I'm lying and you should never trust me. So you get to trust people who are real, who experience
Yeah.
life's trials and tribulations and joys and struggles and sorrows, because you, in an accountable way, can know that if somebody else has been able to walk their way through them, that you can do it too. And the coach is somebody who helps to keep you reminded, who holds the container for you, who helps you live in a space of such openness and possibilities and courage so that when you experience these places of fear and sadness, fully experience the emotion, be there, knowing that it is temporary, just like the sun rises and sets every day. That experience and emotion will rise and set, and so will you. You will rise and move on to the next step on your path.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Do you consider, like, if you look at your life, Ruby, do you think you were born to be the leader? Because it seems like you're working and your passion is to work with the leaders already just to bring them to the next level. So if the young generation is listening to us right now, do you think, like from your personal experience, do you think we are born leaders, and who is a leader in your opinion, or can you develop that in you as you are moving along in life? So two questions.
I hear, are we born leaders or do we develop it?
Yeah,
My
then
sense
who
is
and
all of us.
who is the leader in your opinion? Like, how do you define a leader? There are so many different approaches to that.
Well, there are many definitions for leading and leadership and leaders. I believe all of us are born with gifts that allow us to communicate with others in such a way that they are willing to follow. And when you do that, you lead. And when you do that, you step up as a leader. And I don't know that it takes lots of special training to be aware, to have foresight regarding the way, to be able to conceptualize what needs to be done so that you can effectively communicate it. My sense is almost everything it takes to be a quality leader, many of us come here with, and we are either told that we don't have it, or we don't trust ourselves enough to believe that we don't have it. Whether you're in a family, whether you're in elementary school, I see little children step up and say bullying is wrong and will hold up hands to stop the abuse of other children. Now, who convinced that little person that they could be a leader? The wisdom inside said, this is what love looks like. This is what kindness looks like. This is how I get to model the way for others. And so, to the extent that we will trust that inner voice inside that says, step up now, step up in what you do, step up in terms of who you are, step up in terms of what you say, you will model the way for you will be a leader. Now, in organizations, you can lead from any seat in the organization, whether you are the cook in the kitchen, whether you are the secretary or executive assistant in an office, or the principal who gets paid to lead, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a child, everybody gets to lead. And I'll give you examples of what leadership looks like from those positions. If you're the principal, every day you're responsible for everything. And to the extent that you embrace quality and kindness and love and care and stewardship, it's the curriculum, it's listening and supporting teachers, it's learning the names of children so you can be concerned about who they are and what they're doing. It's learning the names of the people in the kitchen so that the food that's served is edible and beautiful every day. The housekeeper to have a building that is so clean and immaculate that when children show up from places that are not that way, they know what the standard is like in their school because a janitor who was a leader when it came to taking care of the facility stepped up and modeled the way. That's teaching and that's leadership. Now, how do we learn these things? We learn often by just watching other people who have embraced a standard of love and kindness and care and excellence that we aspire to do that in our own lives. When I was a little kid, I would talk just like my dad died when I was in the third grade, and I'm afraid my mother would be stressed out and have a heart attack and die too. And I was determined to be an obedient child so that she would not leave us and we would be orphans. So whether it was doing my homework, taking care of my uniform, making sure the chores that needed to be done around the house, supervising my younger sisters, whatever she said needed to be done. And oftentimes she didn't even have to say it. I would see that those things were taken care of. And so as an adult now, and I'm 64, I marvel at the people who will come up and tell me, lady, I was just looking at you in a store, or I was listening to you talk, or I just watched you walk through the building, speaking with people and helping people who were not even your group. And I think this is how we get to model the way. So thank you for asking that question. Hopefully I've answered and provided sufficient detail.
Yes, you did. Any role models that you have or you had in your life?
There are two people who come to mind when I think of role models. Dr. Martin Luther King was an amazing role model when I think about the macro level, because he was someone who simply said, These are things that are ethically and morally wrong, and we must address them. And he had the courage, even to the point of giving his life to do it. And then my mother, who would leave us on Sunday when she got, after my dad died, she became a teacher, and she would come home on Friday, and I ran our house. And she could trust me enough to do that because she was trying to provide for us. So those are my role models.
Awesome. And by the way, it was my musical clock. Just if you heard the sound,
Yes,
that
yes,
was
I
my
heard.
musical clock, because you know I sing, right? The House of
So
the
we are
Music.
all done.
And perfect timing, right? Talking about the role models and
Absolutely.
yeah. So, Dr. Braye,
If
I
we're
know
at
you.
the end of this,
We are
yes.
getting closer to the end, and I wanted to ask you about how we can find you, and if you can also tell us about the books that you wrote, because I know there are two. Could you share with us if you could
Yes.
show it to the show them the book? I mean, show us the books. That would be fabulous. And what's the name of your company? How we can find you? Because there is a story about that too.
Would you get the two books from downstairs? I have two books. One is Success Strategies, and the other is How to Live in Such a Way that You Are Just This Amazing, amazing person. And the chapter that I wrote is on autonomy. That very often we are so busy looking at the lives of other people without trusting what's in us, that I've learned that autonomy is a key to being able and willing to live powerfully in the world. And then success strategies. Following the genocide in Rwanda, I traveled with a colleague to develop a this is success strategies. And you
Mm-hmm.
know what? When I can tell that when you see it from your side, it's backwards.
No, no, I can.
The
Yeah, I can
You
see it
can see it.
well. Yeah, success
And we
strategies. Yes.
did this book with Brian Tracy. These are best trainer in the world, Margaret Wheatley, who
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Margaret Blanchard, who's Ken Blanchard's wife from One Minute Manager. Now the
Mm-hmm.
books are all, and the other is the Discover Your Inner
Strength.
Strength.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Both books are available on my website, which is www.woollyturtle.com. And you can reach me at 703-864-3769. You'll find on the website both my email and all contact information to reach me. And I
Could
would be honored to have you contact me.
Wonderful. So, can you give us a little short story about this woollyturtle.com? Why is
Woolly
it
Turtle
Woolly
is a
Turtle? And it's, by the way, WULI and then the word turtle.com. Yes. So, what is Woolly?
absolutely. Back in 2000, I was asked to consider starting a business. And when I started the business, I needed a title that would allow me to communicate as a coach that when you have visions and dreams, that it is possible to have those visions and dreams be made real. The phrase Wooly means patterns of organic energy, how we take those visions and dreams that we are given and how we make them real. The turtle is a symbol for longevity, and it appears in many cultures, Native American, many Asian cultures. In fact, there's a book that says the world is built on the backs of turtles all the way up from the center of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that longevity, with so many businesses failing every year, my commitment was to make sure that I was in for the long term. So I took Woolly, patterns of organic energy, coupled it with turtle to say, I will forever until I am called into the next life, keep busy helping people make their visions real. And so it's been 17 years. I'm still actively involved in business, actively serving individuals, groups, working in
Yeah.
organizations, selling products and offering services.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you for being with
Thank you
us with
very much.
Dream Big with Zhanna,
What a
inspiring you
pleasure.
to reignite, refine, and refuel your
Yes.
life. If you can close with this little section that we have on the show, it's called A Gem from Treasure Chest of Life. So, what is it? Like
Yes.
your word of wisdom for everybody to stay inspired and to take inspired action.
The single word is love. If you didn't remember anything else, to wake up with love, to go to bed with love, to communicate from a place love, because love provokes kindness in our thoughts, in our words, and in our deeds. Let love guide your life.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That was communication and conversation with
You're
Dr.
very
Rubye
welcome.
Braye. Braye, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay inspired. Thank you. And we will see you again. There are so many more questions I want to ask you. Mwah. Thank you so much, Dr. Rubye Braye. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Mhm.